Good evening and welcome to the Planning Commission meeting for
Recording in
October
progress.
23rd. If I could get everybody to rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Commissioner Anthony, would you lead us, please? Thank you. City Planner, would you please do roll call?
Certainly. Chairman Rosales.
Present.
Vice Chair Morrissey.
Here.
Commissioner Balma.
Present.
Commissioner Anthony.
Here.
Commissioner Ogden.
Present.
Commissioner Malik.
Present.
Commissioner Dodds had indicated that he would be absent today, so we have the majority of the composition of the Planning Commission is present. We have a quorum.
Great, thank you. And I'd like to welcome our newest Planning Commissioner, Mr. Michael Ogden, to my left here. Welcome, Mr. Ogden.
Thank you.
All right. We will start with communications on matters not on tonight's agenda. I'll look to staff to find out how many speakers. I think most of the speakers here tonight are for non-agendized items. Do we have some slips?
That is correct. Chairman Rosales, yes, we have 21 slips to speak non-agenda.
Okay. We typically typically have 3 minutes per speaker. I imagine you're all here for the same item. We only have one item on the Planning Commission tonight as far as a hearing, so we'll stick with the 3 minutes because I think your voices want to be heard, so give everybody the full 3 minutes. We're going to do this as we normally do. Are we going to have names on the screen? So we'll have names on the screen. We're going to use both daises. Please queue up and be ready to go, left and right as quickly as possible so we can get through this pretty quickly. So when you see your name on the screen here in a minute, just be ready if you see yourself as speaker 2, 3, or 4. Get ready to come up right after that. So go ahead.
Thank you, Chair Rosales. Okay. Is it coming?
There we go.
Sorry about that, everyone. Please, as you see your names on there, come up and you'll have 3 minutes to speak. Give us your name very clearly so we know who you are for the record. Starting with Wendy Bravo Dolan, followed by Donna Jenkins, followed by Kim Stone, followed by Carol Stone.
Go ahead, ma'am.
I'm waiting for my close-up, Mr. DeMille. There's the light. Okay, thank you. My name's Wendy Bravo Dolan, and I'm a resident of Oceanside and also an oblate at the Prince of Peace Abbey. And this means that we'd make a special promise to be an extension of the monastery as far as our station in life will allow. And so very important, very precious to the hundreds of us who are oblates, who worship at Prince of Peace Abbey and retreat there and meet with one another. The concern is that the surrounds of the monastery are beautiful, dark, and quiet at night, and very peaceful. You sleep like a baby there. How will Eddie Jones' light pollution and noise pollution affect worshipers who try to pray in silence, particularly those who come up for retreats? They might be coming to help their marriage or to work through a death in the family, many of the different reasons why we come to pray. How will Eddie Jones' light pollution and noise pollution affect the peace and quiet of families and their children? The elderly, people working at home. So silence is a premium, as you know, in our society. How will light and noise pollution affect the large population of wildlife along the San Luis Rey River? The many acreage, large acreage of the Prince of Peace Abbey is home to many sensitive species. And it is within the 1,500 feet of the proposed project. In fact, how will the light pollution and noise pollution affect the peace and quiet of families and their children? I've said that, the elderly, people working at home who are working in the large housing development that's immediately flanking it, a great-sized community. In fact, how will Eddie Jones' light and noise pollution impact everyone seeking quiet enjoyment of their homes, the river, and the surrounds? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Good afternoon. My name is Donna Jenkins. I, too, am a resident of Oceanside, and I'm here for the same reasons that Wendy just spoke. The pollution, the noise, the traffic will affect our community. Many senior citizens will be affected, as well as children's lives would be endangered. Therefore, I am here to say that I am opposed to the Eddie Jones development. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Good evening, Mr. Chair and members of the commission. I'm here this evening to speak about the Eddie Jones project, which warehouse and distribution project that will be coming before you in the hopefully the very near future. And I want to share with you the feelings of my airport neighbors, as well as many others that are going to be negatively impacted by this project. This project, and to back that up, we have over 5,000 signatures right now that are opposed to the impact of this particular project. And we are not, I want to say, we are not opposed to development because we do want that area to be developed. We just don't want a warehouse and distribution center. The airport neighborhood surprises a lot of people that we have over 1,200 homes in that area above the San Luis Rey River. And the only ingress and egress that we have that area is Fusat Road and Benet Road. So our concerns, or my concerns especially, pertain to the traffic impacts that are related to this project. Last year, the City Council rejected unanimously the Amazon warehouse project that was slated to go in. That particular project called for 15 semi-truck terminals. The Eddie Jones project calls for 114 semi-truck terminals, plus 60 truck terminal parking stalls and about 500 car parks. So that's almost 8 times larger than the Amazon project. The plan states that the heavy truck traffic will be on Benet Road, creating a lot of congestion for us trying to get in and out of that area. It calls for 2,831 trips per day. And that also included is Ocean Camp. They will generate over 19,000. And there's was at least, I think it's still on the agenda, a hotel that was slated to go in on 76 and Airport Road, and that's going to generate another 688 daily trips. So my questions, I have 3 for you to consider. One is, how many additional trips can our neighborhood be expected to endure? Well, I know we're going to have our food delivered by helicopter. Secondly, clearly, sorry.
Ma'am, your time is up. Appreciate your comments.
You got 2 more questions.
We're going to go to the next speaker.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good evening. I am Carol Stone with OSO and an airport area homeowner. As I am a visual person, I want to take a moment to look at 2 graphs. The first graph you see up there is the differential of the Oceanside city zoning and of Eddie Jones warehouse proposed size. The blue is 150,000 square feet as Oceanside has zoned, and the gray is the 566,905 square foot that they are proposing. My second graph is showing the differential of the Oceanside city zoning for that area and the Eddie Jones warehouse proposed truck base. The blue is 18, which it is currently zoned for light industrial in our community. The gray is the 57 as proposed that they'll be using now, and the other gray is 57 more truck bays that they are keeping on a reserved purpose. This is how they cut it down in half. Having that set up, built, and ready, it's like having a piece of cake in the refrigerator and saying, I'm only going to eat the dark, and the light, I'll never use that. Well, we know if they're building it, the intent is to use it. So their little 57 stalls it's just not real. The traffic consisting of semis and other vehicles, emergency, it's just ridiculous. They have no money earmarked for Caltrans for road improvements or upkeep. We have collected thousands of signatures, all opposing this plan, and I keep hearing the same comment from people as they're signing. They say, oh, politics don't care. I refuse to believe that you don't care about Oceanside. I refuse to. Just because a company buys property in Oceanside does not allow them to jeopardize my safety or your safety. That's the bottom line. After expressing our concerns to the Eddie Jones Warehouse program, they conceded that they would do some things. They said in an emergency, not when an emergency, if an emergency occurs, they will simply hunker down and they will not be part of the problem. Well, really? Their trucks are owned individually and they run up to $190,000 each. Do you think a trucker is going to leave his truck and hunker down so that they don't become part of the problem? That's ridiculous. That's not going to happen. Regarding the traffic problems, they said, oh, we can do something about that. We will have a turn-only lane, special lane, exiting onto Bennett. Really? Well, I'm sure that will really help the gridlock.
Thank you.
I'm OSO, and I say no. Thank you.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Carol Brolin, and I live in the airport community in Oceanside. I'm opposed to the Eddie Jones project for several reasons. One of my concerns is pollution. This project would bring over 100 semi-trucks into our neighborhood, trucks that spew exhaust and chemicals into the air we breathe. Trucks produce a wide range of pollutants. It's estimated even 500 trucks produce 1 ton of air pollution. With a project this size and running at full capacity, we could see 5 tons of noxious chemicals blow into our neighborhoods and surrounding area. These toxic pollutants are known to cause lung cancer, multiple respiratory illnesses, including asthma in children. Prevailing winds will carry these toxins into our neighborhood and beyond, creating a negative impact on our airport neighborhood and even our other coastal cities. The San Luis Rey watershed would be affected. Consider the pollutants absorbed into the porous concrete buildings, the loading docks, and all the concrete that would surround this project. Rainwater runoff would flush all these toxins into the Oceanside Harbor and the pier area and into the San Luis Rey riverbed. How would this runoff affect our precious wildlife in the riverbed? This enormous project would be the size of 4 Costcos. 4 Costcos. Huge. The square footage of about 9 football fields. Our skate park, our bike trail, and soon-to-be-built ocean camp attract families and children and encourage outdoor activities. How would Eddie Jones project contribute to this lifestyle? The Prince of Abbey is a Benedictine monastery located just above the proposed Eddie Jones project. It's a retreat facility, a peaceful place to develop one's spirituality, and offers a quiet environment for self-reflection. It is currently a quiet, somber place and has been in use since 1958. But if the Eddie Jones project is permitted to happen, it would destroy the ability to use this property the way it's intended. This monstrosity of a project would not contribute one bit to our beach community vibe. It would not attract tourists or encourage visitors or add to our community in any way. Please think about this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Planning Commission. The Eddie Jones project, which is proposed to be built off Highway 76 in Benet, is coming to you soon. And we are bringing it to your attention now as we are very much against this project. I have been specifically tasked with bringing up the vision of our neighborhoods and surrounding areas. We currently have about 1,200 homes nestled between the airport and Camp Pendleton, with only 2 roads in and out of the 76 highway. We have or will have the Ocean Camp with a wave park and 700 homes to start with, and a small mall with a hotel, Prince Skate Park, the possibility of another hotel on 76 at Airport Road, and of course, the airport with some small businesses along Airport Road on the north side. It is now being proposed that a trucking warehouse to be included in this area that is a massive building of 568,000 square feet. Please note that one football field is 57,600 square feet. This building will be equivalent to 9.82 football fields and will be surrounded by an 8-foot wall in blue to mitigate flooding in the area. What do we see as homeowners for the future if this is built? We see an Amazon-type warehouse. Maybe not Amazon, but it could be Home Depot, Walmart, Federal Express, who knows? As this can be sold or sublet to anyone that the owners choose. The owners have also been known to build buildings and then sell them, never having occupied them. We are currently an area of skateboarding, surfing, retail shops, hotels, homes, flying, parachuting, the Prince of Peace Abbey with a few small buildings sprinkled in. We also have Heritage Park and the Mission of San Luis Rey. Having this massive warehouse with large trucks going in and out on Benet and then traveling on the 76 to Interstate 5 or 15 just doesn't conform to what we envision in our little valley. I just read recently that a 600,000 square foot distribution warehouse is being built in Princeton, Illinois, and will create only 148 new jobs. We believe that other alternative businesses could create many more jobs and should be considered. I might also add that the Amazon warehouse that you folks rejected was only approximately 142,000 square feet. This one's 568,000 square feet. We hope that as this project moves along that you'll agree with us and ask the owners to come up with a better plan that incorporates one of the city's goals in the general plan of working to preserve and enhance the safety, tranquility, and visual character of our residential neighborhoods.
Ma'am, before you go, could you give us your name for the record?
Deborah Wanamaker.
Thank you very much. Go ahead.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Michael KOCT. I live in Oceanside in the airport community. And last August, Mr. Domhowski received a letter regarding the concerns from Caltrans regarding the proposed Eddie Jones project as it stood last year. Among those concerns were pollution, traffic, impact on the surrounding community, and emergency evacuation issues for the surrounding community. On a personal level, on the way to the meeting this evening, I noticed, traveling west on 76, I noticed at least 10 cars queued up to make that left-hand turn onto Benet Road. Adding a 72-foot semi would completely prevent many of these folks from getting home. They'll have to go to Fusat, where they'll be in a bottleneck with the traffic from Ocean Camp. Since I've lived in the beautiful airport community for 2 years, I've found at its core, Benet Road is a residential street. I mean, there's no other way around it. It's not wide enough or suitable for semi-truck traffic. The average semi-truck, as I said, is 72 foot long, 8.5 feet wide, and can weigh up to 80,000 pounds. So I think there's a direct incompatibility with bike and pedestrian traffic, and these are prioritized both by the letter from Caltrans and by the Oceanside City Master Plan. There's a danger to bikers, kids, not to mention the blind and visually impaired who must navigate that sidewalk with no tactile or audible signal to let them know that there's an 80-ton truck coming toward them. So thank you for your time, and I hope when the matter comes before you, you'll take the concerns of Oceanside Speaks Out into consideration. I guess my photo of the tractor, it's not a tractor trailer, it's somebody in the bike lane abutting just general vehicle traffic, and that's bad enough as it is. You can see it right there. The bike lane is only 5 to 6 feet wide. Putting a tractor trailer to the left of that rider, making a right-hand turn into the complex, like would be potentially very, very dangerous. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Go ahead, ma'am.
Hi, thank you for allowing me the time to speak. My name is Kathy Stark, and I live in the Las Brisas community, in the airport community. And I have 2 points to speak to, I guess, that are my main concern. One is the traffic, as you've heard all the statistics about the traffic, but I would like everybody to know it's not just our traffic that is of a concern. Anyone who's traveling on the 76, starting up in Fallbrook, Bonsall, up at College, those neighborhoods, there are lots of people who are traveling south down to the 5. And with those tractor trailers, if that is allowed, it'll be ridiculous, just ridiculous trying to get on the 5 for people who are trying to go to work to live. My other concern mainly is honestly for my safety. I live in the airport community. We know in California now, the scary word is fire. And I understand that the Oceanside Fire Department is very good and they have plans to evacuate. But my fear, honestly, is when you have 1,200 homes full of panicked people and you have 2 ways to get in and out, and you've got traffic over on Fusat, and then all these trucks over on Benet, I'm afraid I'm gonna die, honestly, in a fire that I might die. So that is my real concern, and is for anybody living in that community, as well as others who are across the street and other neighborhoods. It's a real concern. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Good evening.
Chairman Rosales, commission members, my name is Darren Selnick, and I'm here representing our airport neighborhood group, Oceanside Speaks Out in Blue. I'm here to talk about the Eddie Jones Warehouse and Distribution Facility project located by the airport in my neighborhood. The scope of which is huge, 31 acres, the building length is 1/4 mile, a massive 566,000 square feet. My area of concern tonight is transparency. Although the proposal states it will be 65% warehouse, 114 truck bays, 28% manufacturing, and 7% office space, these are placeholders until after it gets approved. Then it could be anything. We are not opposed to development of the property. We just want to make sure the impact is positive for those who live or have businesses adjacent to the property and for the city, and to make it a win-win for everyone, including the developer. We also believe it is important for there to be full transparency in what this project will or will not be. Unfortunately, the developer, RPG, has only given us the facade of transparency, constantly changing his story about the project. Let me give you 3 examples. RPG says you can't find out what types of business will be in the project until it gets approved. In other words, you have to pass the project to know what the project will be. RPG says the project will bring good economic benefits to the city. However, in their economic analysis, they project a positive impact of only $72,000 per year. RPG says it will not know what will go into the building until after its 4 walls are built. If it ends up being a 24/7 operation with noise and light pollution, then at that point it is a problem of the city and residents. Transparency extends to us all. The Planning Commission has a responsibility for approval or disapproval of the project. The developer has a responsibility to be honest about the type of project, tenants, and impact to nearby residents it will have after it's approved. Oceanside Speaks Out is transparent on everything we do with our Facebook and our website. We have engaged with RPG, the City Council, and City Planning staff. We have gathered thousands of signatures and done media interview. Oceanside Speaks Out is united with the 3 HOAs and non-HOA residents near the development. We are not a no group, but we want to say yes to a project that is a win for everyone, not just the developer. We believe that life sciences where biotech is the type of project we're looking for, not a giant 24/7 warehouse 3 times the size of the Amazon project, which was defeated. We are looking forward to working with all that are invested in this project. We would like it to see for everyone's benefit. We are aware, organized, active, and we're not going away. Thank you for your time and listening for us tonight.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Ladies and gentlemen of Oceanside Planning Commission, my name is Gene O'Neill, and I stand before you today as a concerned resident of Oceanside, representing approximately 1,200 affected homes in our community. I'm here to express my strong opposition to the Eddie Jones Warehouse and Distribution Project. This project, as it stands, poses a significant threat to the quality of life in our neighborhood. It brings with it the specter of traffic congestion that will clog our streets, making our daily commute a nightmare. It brings pollution, both in the form of air pollution and noise pollution, which will harm our health and well-being. And let's not forget the invasive light pollution that will disrupt the serenity of our nights. We cherish the tranquility of our community, and we believe that such a project is simply incompatible with our way of life. Oceanside is a place where families thrive, and we take great pride in our environment. We should not allow a project that jeopardizes the very essence of what makes Oceanside special. I urge the Planning Commission to reconsider this project in light of its severe consequences for our neighborhood. Let's protect the beauty and peace of Oceanside for current and future generations. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Hi, hello everyone. My name is Gretchen Gary Buccolo. I live at the end of Tishmal Court, which is a small cul-de-sac that faces this property. In fact, from my master bedroom, it probably has the best view to manage the project from visual speaking, because I can see where every truck is, where every person is, and especially since they cut down the old growth trees that used to line the border of this property, it is an unobstructed view completely of a massive empty space since they've cleared out the buildings that were there. I lived there previously when they were a manufacturing facility. I heard the buzzing white sound, but it was easy to phase out. They had manufacturing around, till the late hours. It never really bothered me. And I will say that I have sent footage to Rob Dombrowski. I don't see him here, but I have sent footage of what a single truck and its backup alarm sounds like on the airport, which is even further from this land, and how it sounds around 8 o'clock, where noise carries across the valley straight to our backyard, and the thought of the cacophony of 100 plus all the forklifts that are needed to support a 550 square foot manufacturing facility. Imagine 1 floor or 2 floors, forklifts on every level, carrying goods back and forth from these trucks. So it's not just the trucks I'm worried about. I'm also worried about all those forklifts and the sound of constant noise in my backyard. I have 2 small children I'm raising. There's also the concern of the diesel exhaust from the trucks. I think someone else has spoken pretty extensively to that, so I won't go into it. But I want to say this is land that is zoned as light industrial. Bothers me that the developer always says, well, this land is zoned for that. It is not zoned for a project like this. This is mega industrial, something that is reserved usually for the areas surrounding airports like the Denver International Airport, or inland communities where there is no neighboring neighborhoods or families with small children who spend most of their time outside. I'm asking the Planning Commission to reject this project. I'm asking that you think creatively about the future of Oceanside. This project is very backward thinking. It's all focused on the biggest gain. Let's think about the biggest gain for all. Oceanside has an opportunity to create an amazing space here, whatever that is. It could be, we've heard suggestions already, I won't get into that, but I want this committee to really think about that. We have a chance to set the future. Let's not make it an industrial manufacturing hub. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Dolores Carrasco, and I want to thank everyone for showing up and listening to us. I am opposed to the truck terminal project. The main emphasis that I want to make tonight is that I was in the fire when it happened in our neighborhood 2 years ago. There was a fire to the west of us. I'm in the airport neighborhood. I have 2 disabled neighbors that would not have been able to get out. I had planned to help them with my car, but then we discovered that the roads were backed up, both Benet and Busat, and no one could come in, no one could get out. We were texting each other for people who were already on the outside of the neighborhood trying to come in and could not. I realized that there was not only would I not be able to help my neighbors, but probably not myself either. I can walk out. I could have walked out and left the house, left everything, but my neighbors would not have been able to walk out. And that was a huge concern to me. So I want to let you know that this is my main concern, and I'm wondering, has there been any kind of evacuation prospect proposed for this project, that if there is a fire, will we be able to get out? Will disabled people be able to have help to get out? And that's my main concern. So I thank you for listening.
Thank you.
And my name is Dolores Carrasco. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, Jimmy.
Chair, Commissioners, Jimmy Knott, 127 Sherry Lane. I also have a lot of concerns about this site, but I want to talk about something that's going on in our community as well. And that is something that you control, and that is design limits function. And the fears a lot in the community come from one thing, and that is instead of following or applying for exemptions, from standards, or taking in or bypassing certain zoning issues or conditional use permits, what the developers are doing is something that's very sneaky. And they're going ahead with the development as what they want to do shortly after they build the development. They paid the fine and they go ahead with the development because it's cheaper and faster that way. We need on the head end to properly design the standard to limit as much as possible so the function is limited to the scope of what the developers said that they're going to be doing. And I wanted to point out a couple things here from the developer's website. This is what the site looked like before they demolished it. This is the original proposal. And if you look around, there's a number of bays on the front and back of the building. And then when they have their design for the revision, what change do you see? Except for the fuzzy picture. You see in the front, they put the bays out there for the trucks. In the back, it's still the same, but without the truck bays. They just closed in the bay. They didn't change the design. So what's going to happen is they can easily put in truck bays. This is where you have the control to change the design. Design limits function. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Commissioner. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you this evening. My name is Anna Floyd. I'm a resident of Oceanside City and have lived here for 14 years. I have made Oceanside my home, and together with my husband, this is the place we choose to raise our 2 beautiful children. I'm here today to express my concern over the proposed warehouse project on 250 Eddie Jones Way. The proposed project includes 114 semi-truck bays, 60 semi-truck parking spots, and over 500 auto parking spots. The community north of the San Luis Way River includes over 1,000 homes. The residents that live here are limited to only 2 roads for ingress and egress. These 2 roads are Fusat Road and Benet Road. Most everyone is aware of the Ocean Camp project and the traffic congestion that we will have on Fusat Road. The congestion on Fusat Road will cause many of the over 1,000 residents to utilize Benet Road. I'm a visual person, so I want to paint a picture for you of the tremendous risk the proposed Eddie Jones warehouse project will have on our community. Our homes share a border to the north with the hilly brush terrain, including steep slopes and ridges. During the hot and dry seasons, these are prone to wildfires. Unfortunately, the residents who live in this community, a fire in the brush terrain is not easily extinguished. On June 12th, 2022, we had a 75-acre brush fire known as the Wall of Fire, where Oceanside Police asked the residents from the 300-block Shadow Tree, 300-block Rimcrest Square, and all the Walla Drive to evacuate the area. The chaos this evacuation caused on the neighborhood was overwhelming. We had fire engines, police entering on one side, worried families evacuating with their kids and animals on the other side. Thank goodness the damage was mild. But imagine if the fire was larger. The windy conditions, a rapid fire would cause a big evacuation. If the Eddie Jones warehouse is approved, we just added 100 big rigs trying to depart a warehouse while simultaneously residents' families also are trying to escape to safety. This obviously would create a chokehold where residents in the community that could not escape fast enough would perish. Not only would this proposed project create extreme safety hazards for residents during fire and emergency evacuation, it also threatens the safety for pedestrians and bicyclists enjoying the outdoors on Benet Road. Benet Road is an access point to the San Luis Way River Trail. Bennett Road is also a designated bike lane. Anyone with common sense can predict that the increased traffic of the big rig trucks entering and exiting on Benet Road is a fatality waiting to happen. I am asking for all of you to place safety for the citizens of Oceanside as your top priority when considering approval of the 250 Eddie Jones warehouse project. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, sir.
All right, my name is Ed Jenkins. I'm an Oceanside resident, and I reside in the neighborhood just north of the airport. That neighborhood and the airport will have the proposed project between them. Our previous speakers here this evening have enumerated in specific detail all of the negative aspects of this proposed project. In fact, if you look at this project, it has nothing positive to recommend it. All aspects are negative. I'm opposed to this project. All the reasons that the other speakers have outlined, plus many more that we haven't had time to go into. This is not the kind of project that benefits the city or our future growth. It's in the wrong direction. And I would encourage you folks, when the time comes, to deny this particular project that is currently proposed. It's a monstrosity. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Faye Schultz, and thank you for listening to us tonight. I have been a resident of the airport neighborhood for 23 years now, so I have seen Oceanside change greatly. Some for the good, and sadly, some not for the good. And we're hoping that you can make the difference. And as Gretchen said, be a visionary for our neighborhood. Oceanside is a desirable place now. When I first moved here, it was not as desirable as it is now. And please have that vision where we have bike trails, we have outdoor activities. This is going backwards. This is not what we need. And it is scary for us as residents who live in this neighborhood with only 2 ways in and out. And I know that's been said 100 times again, but it is scary. The Fusat project is humongous, and people don't realize that. They think, oh, it's a wave park. No, it's 700 residential homes and a 300-room hotel in addition to the wave park and the offices. We are already a D on the 76. We are going to be an F so soon As Mike said, coming over here, I was looking at the traffic coming down the 76. With any additional, just the Ocean Camp neighborhood is going to put it all the way back to the freeway. We are not sustainable on the 76 freeway. It is going to be horrific. And as they're saying, it's the corridor to the bike path, the air pollution, the accidents. It's just not the way to go. It is not the vision of Oceanside. And I urge you to please relook at this. Like I said, this has been a beautiful neighborhood that's been tucked away for years. I've driven all over the country, and the places where you see these big facilities are off the 15. You know, as I said, by Denver Airport, that is where they are. They're not in the middle of a community. They're not at the entrance of a community. So I please implore you to relook at this and vote no. As Kim was saying too, when she was talking about the project and how big it is, she said, you know, this is being considered only without excluding the homeowners that live in that area. She said, are we not being considered at all as the impact of this? If Amazon project was considered too egregious to approve, then why is this being considered to approve a project that is 8 times worse and requires a conditional use permit? So I absolutely ask that you please relook at this, and as the citizens who live in this neighborhood, it's vital to us. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. My name is Douglas Smith, and I'm speaking for my wife and I. We oppose this project. We are members of the airport neighborhood. I'm also part of the Oceanside Speaks Out, and I lost my shirt to the wash today, member of the blue team. I've lived in San Diego since 1950. I've seen PCH when it was 101 before 5, as some of you may have. I don't think this operation belongs in the neighborhood. My wife doesn't either. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Annette, and the speaker after Annette, Elena, if you want to come forward already. Go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Annette Orendine. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I do attend daily Mass at Prince of Peace Abbey. It is actually an international Benedictine order, and we do receive people from all over. It is very peaceful. It's also a beautiful residential area, and I have friends in the area besides living in the area. This is a huge industrial project that they are hoping to plan. I would ask them to please reconsider a better site that isn't next to a residence and next to a church. It is a beautiful area, and all residents are hoping it will remain so. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Elena Baker, and like everybody else here this evening, I strongly oppose this warehouse, but I won't repeat everything that's already been said, but I want you to consider something. It's been talked about emergencies happening and trying to get out, but if there is an emergency, somebody has a heart attack, somebody has some other emergency in their home, and an ambulance cannot get up the road because maybe a truck's fallen over or a truck has blocked the road, please consider that also and refuse this, because it could be extremely dangerous, life-threatening, life-taking, in fact. So thank you for your time. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Go ahead.
My name is Ann Marshall. I've been an Oceanside resident for 22 years. I'm opposed to the Eddie Jones project for many reasons. We already have a lot of traffic. My daughter, she's a teacher. She has to commute. She was 3 hours late to work because of all the traffic, you know, from the 76 to the 5. There was a car crash, but so I'm just opposed to the Eddie Jones project. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Dave Keck, and I am an Oceanside resident up on the airport community, and I've been here over 22 years. As mentioned, I'm a member of the Oceanside Speaks Out, OSO, and I want to thank you all for allowing myself and others in the community to express our opinions in opposition to the Eddie Jones warehouse and distribution facility. In doing so, we have vocalized our 5 major concerns of pollution, traffic, safety emergency, transparency, and the city's vision. Though you have heard some of the concerns with passion, commitment, and even anger over frustration, I had sent each of you a email via our city website spelling out some of the stuff that we've talked about tonight. Our intentions coming here were to inform, educate about the pending project and our city's concerns. So you now have a sense of how contentious the project is to our Oceanside members. Tonight, there is a small portion of those in opposition here. Via a public grassroots petition, we have collected over 4,000 signatures in opposition and are still growing. Thank you again for your patience and understanding as the community voices their opposition. We will be back when this project is presented to you for your approval or disapproval. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I see the screen is blank. Any other slips been submitted?
That concludes our slips, Chair Rosales.
Great, thank you. Hang on, ma'am, please. If you haven't submitted a slip and you'd still like to address the commission before we close the items not on tonight's agenda, please come forward. It can be on this item or any other item that is not on tonight's agenda.
Can we no longer speak on agendized items?
This forum right now is for items not on tonight's agenda. So this item that has been spoken about tonight is not agendized tonight. This is just a forum, the place tonight where you can speak to any item that's not agendized tonight. Again, I'm still leaving it open. If you want to come forward, if your name didn't show up on the screen, I'm still going to give it a few minutes to let everybody come forward. Go ahead, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. My name's Eileen Costa, and I'm against the, thank you, Chairman, thank you, Commission members. I'm against the Eddie Jones Warehouse project. I'm sure you'll agree with me that these are very, very stressful times. People seek the Prince of Peace Abbey to restore their equilibrium. All faiths are welcome there. They go up there and they have peace and quiet and they can pull themselves together. With the warehouse and the amount of trucks coming and going and all the noise, it will destroy the peace that's readily available up there. And it is that quiet and that peace that helps restore the mental health of the people who are seeking it. With no mental health facility readily available, we'll have an increase in people who are troubled, and we'll have an increase in problems in our society. And that's easily changeable by keeping the peace there. As Jimmy Knott pointed out, the design of the warehouse has not changed. So we can assume that they're planning on not following the rules. And I'd like to give as an example the helicopter that's a trainer. They're not professional pilots, and they come from Palomar Airport. They're not supposed to fly over our homes. Almost every day, they circle over the homes, not in allowable airspace, 17 times. I've counted them. And if they're allowed to break the law for something so dangerous, what's to say that the Eddie Jones Warehouse will also break the law and get away with it? The lack of emergency evacuation plans with all these trucks will add chaos to the housing development, people from the Prince of Peace Abbey, and visitors to the area. And it's going to be a chaotic emergency, and it may cause deaths, depending on the emergency. We need an evacuation plan to be drawn up for Oceanside. At the current time, I cannot believe there is not one evacuation plan authorized by the City of Oceanside, whether it's the fire department, the police department, or the planning commission. We need evacuation plans to show that with the building that is taking place, people are allowed to get to safety in a timely manner. And the fumes and the exhausts and brake emissions from the trucks will cause health problems. I worked for Disneyland, And Anaheim was very upset because of the pollution in the air. And they discovered it was the cars braking as they came to the area to either go into parking lots or get into Disneyland. So when a truck or a car uses its brakes, it can be very pollutant. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, sir. Give us your name for the record, please.
Commissioners, my name is Stephen Sims. I'm a resident of Oceanside. I enjoy living here very much. And my background and love that I've been involved in for about 40 years is bicycling. We'd like to offer an alternative idea on this property, which, interesting enough, by several of the comments that were made by speakers this evening, is incorporated in this. We would like to offer the idea of a velopark and a velodrome, and we want to bring in a hub of bicycling in the community of Oceanside. One of the factors that people ask me about, do you think this would be a benefactor? I said yes, in more factors than in more issues that I could even tell you in 3 minutes. But I will say one thing. If we thought about a velodrome project on that piece of property as an alternative, there are many aspects of what everybody has commented on about the beauty, the maintenance, the environment, and the benefits to the community and the city, in addition to the fact that in 28, the Olympics are in Los Angeles. LA is about to tear down the existing velodrome that's in there and rebuild it. During that entire time of construction, we could be a home to thousands of cyclists from all over the world who would come here and enjoy Oceanside and train at the same time, as well as in other sports, including mountain biking and things that the neighboring communities would be enhanced by and enjoy. So thank you for your time, and thank you for your effort.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Go ahead, sir.
Yes,
Give us
good
your
evening.
name.
My name is Michael Tenover. I'm also a resident of Oceanside, live north of the airport area, and I would be affected by the warehouse project. I just have a simple message. Fantastic comments from everyone today. I thought it was a really great session. But I love living in Oceanside. I think it's a beautiful place. I think the Planning Commission, the City Council, all of our employees of Oceanside should be very proud of what they've achieved in this city. When I look at the map up here, and I walk all the way from the east down the river to the Pacific Ocean, it's a beautiful sight. There's lovely wildlife. There's teeming life down there. There is no project like this warehouse anywhere along that path. There's nothing that would generate the noise and the light pollution all along that entire seam of the air there. Such a valuable, incredible resource for Oceanside. And I challenge the Planning Commission. You are the Planning Commission. You should plan for our future. Not a warehouse, something else. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, we are still open for communications not on tonight's agenda before I close and move on to the next item on our agenda. So anybody would like to still come forward? Again, any item that's not on tonight's agenda. Okay, well, I thank you for your participation. We don't normally do a sort of update or back and forth, but I am going to turn to city planner because I know a lot of you are curious where this is going next, and ask the city planner just for a real quick update. When would we expect this item to come to the Planning Commission?
Thank you for the question, Chair Rosales. It's a difficult question to answer. We do, the next step for the project would be for the environmental impact report that's been prepared to go out for the mandatory 45-day public comment period. That's anticipated to occur before the end of the month. Depending on the scope and nature of comments received, really will drive the next step in that in the next phase of the project, when it might become before the decision makers. So at this point, it's undetermined, but we do know that the EIR will be out for public comment by the end of October.
So we had to gauge just tentatively, it might be sometime in the spring.
Probably late spring, I would guess.
Okay, great, thank you. Again, thank you for your input this evening on this item. We're going to take a quick 5-minute recess so that we can have the chamber clear, unless you'd like to stay for the next item and give you an opportunity to clear out while we take a 5-minute break. Excuse me, we're going to restart our Plan Commission meeting. So if you have a conversation in chambers, if you could please take it outside. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is approval of our minutes from our last meeting on October 9th. I'll entertain a motion or any discussion.
I would approve the minutes as written.
Thank you. We have a motion, Commissioner Bama, for approval.
I'll second.
And a second, Commissioner Malik. Let's go ahead and vote.
Let the record show that the motion carries unanimously. Commissioner Ogden, I think in this instance, you may want to recuse yourself since you weren't present at that meeting where you didn't get to vote on the, you weren't here to know if the minutes are accurate or not.
Thank you. Yeah, let's revote, just so we have it officially. Revote, but you don't vote.
He's a new.
Commissioner Morrissey, can you please vote one more time? I apologize.
Let the record show that the motion passes 5-0 with Commissioner Ogden abstaining.
Great, thank you. All right, next item on the agenda is consent calendar. We do not have anything on the agenda this evening. Under consent calendar, we do not have anything under transportation items, so we'll go to our one public hearing item for this evening. It is consideration of a general plan amendment to change the land use designation for a project at 4991 Macario Drive, known as the Pacifica Development. I'll start with the disclosures, staff report, and a lot of information, and attended had a online presentation by the applicant. And I think that's it. Vice Chair Morrissey?
I read the staff report, did a site visit.
Commissioner Obama?
Staff report, site visit, and some emails.
Thank you. Commissioner Anthony?
Staff report, site visit, and emails as well.
Thank
Staff
you.
report, emails, and I'm familiar with the area.
And Commissioner Ogden? Oh. Let's mic up.
Staff report delivered.
Great, thank you. Thank you. Shannon, good evening.
Hi, good evening, Chair Rosales, Planning Commissioners. I'm Shannon Vitale, Senior Planner in the Development Services Department. I'm here this evening to discuss agenda item number 4, the Pacifica Residential Project. The project site is the former Pacifica Elementary School campus located at 4991 Macario Drive. The Oceanside Unified School District closed the school in 2007, and the site has been vacant since around 2013. In 2019, the school district identified the site as exempt surplus land and began the process to sell the site. The applicant is currently in escrow on the property. The site, which is 14.55 acres, contains about 10 acres of flat area surrounded by vegetated slopes ranging from 10 to 30 feet in height. As illustrated on this slide, the project site is surrounded by residential development on all sides, except the parcel on the west-southwest corner, which is owned by the City of Oceanside and is designated as open space. The property has a general plan land use designation of civic institutional, a zoning designation of public semi-public, and is within the North Valley Neighborhood Planning Area. The proposed project requires 4 entitlements. The first is a general plan amendment to change the land use from civic institutional to medium density B residential. The next is a zone amendment to change the existing zoning designation from public semi-public to planned development. The third is a tentative map to merge the existing parcels and process a condominium map. The fourth is a development plan to approve the Pacifica Plan Development Plan to allow the construction of 164 townhomes and associated site improvements. In order to allow for residential use at the project site, a general plan amendment is required to change the existing land use designation to a residential use. The applicant proposes to change the land use to medium density B residential, which would allow for a residential density between 10 and 15 dwelling units per acre. The images on this slide depict the existing and proposed land use designation for the project site and the surrounding area. Although the adjacent properties have a single-family land use designation, there are 4 parcels within 1,500 feet from the project boundary that have land use designations that allow a similar or higher density than what is proposed for this project. These properties are circled in red for your reference. As shown in the table on this slide, the proposed density for the project is compatible to the existing density for these properties. A zone amendment is proposed to change existing zoning from public semi-public to planned development. The Pacifica Planned Development Plan, which was provided as attachment 4 to the staff report, would establish the zoning development standards for the site. The PD plan includes a residential density and housing type that conform to the proposed general plan land use designation of medium density B residential. The project site's existing and proposed zoning are illustrated on this slide. The tentative map and development plan are required for the lot configurations and for the construction of the planned development community, which again consists of 164 townhomes, as well as 61 guest parking spaces, approximately 60,000 square feet of common amenity areas, a new public sewer lift station, a new publicly accessible park, private roads, a stormwater retention basin, and extensive landscaping throughout the site and the perimeter slopes. The proposed density at 12.8 dwelling units per acre is within the allowable density for the proposed general plan land use designation. The image on this slide illustrates the development footprint for the project. The project utilizes the flat area of the site that is already disturbed land and maintains the perimeter slopes as landscape buffers. Additional landscaping and trees, including sycamore and coast live oak, would be planted in these areas. A 50-foot biological buffer and 50-foot planting buffer is proposed on the southwest portion of the site, adjacent to the open space parcel. No development other than the stormwater retention basin would be built in this area. Primary access to the site would utilize a new driveway at Monica Circle and Macario Drive. The street frontage would be enhanced with decorative paving, landscaping, an entryway sign, and a publicly accessible park. Emergency access would be provided at the eastern boundary of the project site off of Malaga Drive. This emergency vehicle access would be gated. Internal circulation would be provided by private drives. The internal street network has been designed to accommodate fire trucks and other service vehicles and provides a minimum 28-foot width with designated truck turnarounds. The townhomes would be 3 stories tall with a maximum height of 38 feet. The units would range in size from approximately 1,200 square feet to 1,800 square feet and would be configured in 3 different floor plans. Each unit would have a 2-car garage and private open space. And the table on this slide provides a summary of the different floor plans provided for the project. They range from 2 to 4 bedrooms. The proposed architecture is a Spanish eclectic style and includes features such as clay tile roofs, recessed entryways, stucco columns, and decorative wrought iron. The townhomes would be configured in 4 different building types, a 3-plex, a 6-plex, and 2 types of 8-plex, configured throughout the project site. And this slide shows the rear and side elevations of the different building types. As you can see, there's been care taken here to provide visual interest on each building elevation. As previously mentioned, the Pacifica Plan Development Plan complies with the proposed general plan land use designation because the residential unit type and proposed density are allowed under the MDBR land use designation. The project renderings and architectural drawings illustrate that the project provides superior urban design. The project complies with or exceeds all of the base district zoning standards except for the front yard setback, the maximum building height, and the wall height. And as described in the project description, the project deviates from those 3 standards due to the unique topography and site constraints of the property. And as an infill location, the property has adequate provisions for utilities and services and provides adequate emergency vehicle access. As described in the staff report, staff reviewed the project for compliance with the general plan. The project's consistent with the goals and policies of the land use element, specifically regarding community enhancement, land use compatibility, housing, common open space, and landscape. The proposed project is attractively planned and the land use will not negatively impact the surrounding land uses.
Due to the project site's lower elevation, the existing single-family homes are elevated above the developable area of the property and therefore will not experience adverse massing impacts of the project. Additionally, extensive landscaping is proposed along the perimeter, providing adequate setbacks and additional buffers. The proposed project provides an alternative to single-family detached homes by providing attached housing. This site is in an infill location in an already urbanized area that would provide another source of housing for current and future Oceanside residents. The project is compliant with the economic and development element because as provided in the fiscal impact assessment, it was found that the net fiscal impact to the project is an annual surplus to the city's general fund of around $62,000 a year. The fiscal impact analysis was reviewed by the city's finance director and the on-call financial consultant, and they both agreed with the findings of this report. The project's also compliant with the energy and climate action element because it includes the installation of solar photovoltaic panels that are sized to provide 100% of the annual forecasted electricity demand, and there's no natural gas proposed as part of the project. Additionally, the project provides a tree canopy coverage that exceeds the city's urban forestry program and will supplement existing landscape with native trees, including sycamore and coastlive oak. The project is compliant with the housing element because it redesignates a property to allow for residential development, therefore creating new housing opportunities on a site that does not currently allow for residential development. Since the project site's currently zoned public semi-public, a zone amendment is required to change the zoning designation to allow for this residential use. The applicant is proposing a planned development zoning designation, so the project was reviewed for compliance with Article 17 of the zoning ordinance. The project complies with the minimum area and residential unit density regulations for planned development and is therefore compliant with the zoning ordinance. As detailed in the staff report and mentioned previously, the project complies with or exceeds the development standards for the RMB zoning district. The project was also reviewed for compliance with the Climate Action Plan, and as this table illustrates, the project meets or exceeds all applicable requirements. In accordance with the California Environmental Quality Act, an environmental impact report was prepared for the project because potential impacts to air quality, biological resources, cultural resources, geology and soils, and tribal cultural resources were identified. A public scoping meeting was held on November 14th of last year to gather input from the community. Comments received from the public included concerns with site access, traffic, fire evacuation, noise, visual impacts, and the preservation of biological resources. A draft EIR, which identified the mitigation measures to reduce all of these impacts to a less than significant level, was circulated for a 45-day public review period on July 19th. Staff received 4 letters during this review period. The letters received and staff's responses were included in the final EIR. The final EIR and mitigation monitoring and reporting program were posted online and available for public review. I would like to point out that the mitigation monitoring and reporting program has been updated since it was posted online and distributed in your packets. There were 2 mitigation measures that address cultural resources that were inadvertently omitted from their MMRP that was distributed earlier. Additionally, since the project was found to have a less than significant impact on transportation, the 2 measures identified under transportation section have been removed since they are not mitigation measures, but instead are project design features. The project will be conditioned to implement both of those measures, but they're not required mitigation pursuant to CEQA, so they've been removed from the MMRP. Staff will work with the applicant to update the EIR to reflect this. And then I distributed updated copies of the MMRP in front of you. The project's been conditioned to comply with all the mitigation measures listed in the mitigation monitoring and reporting program. And with implementation of these measures, the project will not have a significant impact on the environment. The project's complied with the city's enhanced notification program. There was a notice of application sign posted on 2 street frontages, one at the intersection of Monica Circle and Macario Drive, and one along Malaga Drive. And a notice was mailed out to all property owners within 1,500 feet of the project site. In addition to the scoping meeting that was held on November 14th of last year, the applicant held 2 community outreach meetings. An informational flyer informing people of the community meeting was mailed out in English and in Spanish. In total, 13 people, including city staff, attended these meetings. The meetings were in an open house format with members of the project team available to discuss the project and to answer questions. A summary of the comments received was provided to you in the staff report. In addition to the public comments received during the public review of the environmental document, staff has received 2 additional comment letters, which were emailed to you earlier today. One is a letter of support for the project, and the other letter addresses the transportation mitigation measures, the sizing of the rooftop solar to accommodate 2 electric vehicles in each garage, and the enforcement of the minimum tree canopy. As previously mentioned, the transportation mitigation measures were removed from the mitigation reporting program because they're not really mitigation, but instead project design features. And then the applicant has also confirmed that the solar or photovoltaic system will be sized accordingly to accommodate 2 electric vehicles per unit. The applicant also confirmed that the trees will be managed by an HOA and not maintained by individual homeowners. Any changes to the tree canopy would need approval by the city. So staff finds that the proposed project is consistent with the requirements of the general plan and the zoning ordinance, and is therefore recommending the Planning Commission recommend to the City Council to certify the environmental impact report and to recommend approval of the general plan amendment, zone amendment, tentative map, and development plan for the Pacifica residential project. So that concludes my presentation. I know it's a lot. We also have the project team here to do a presentation, and then I'll be available for questions, and we have staff from Water Utilities and Fire here as well, should you have any questions for us.
Great, thank you, Shannon. Any questions for staff? Yeah, go ahead, Louise.
I have a couple questions.
Sure.
First off, like when I was out there visiting the site, I noticed that I guess it's McCarrow Drive, and I guess it's another something circle that goes up. And I was just wondering, like when all these people exit and enter this area, is there any, like there was no stop sign there. People just kind of cruise through pretty fast when I was there. I just was wondering, like, is there any, like did traffic look at this to see if a stop sign or stopping the traffic needed to happen or no?
Commissioner Balma, Planning Commissioners, our traffic department did review all of the materials. There is not a stop sign proposed at the project entrance, but there will be one on, I believe it's Roja and I can't remember the cross street, but yeah, and Redondo Drive. And we have the applicant team and their transportation consultant here that can also speak to that.
Commissioner Baum, if I could point you to condition number 118 that describes that requirement for the traffic signal.
Okay. The other question was, and I don't know for sure on this one, are ADUs allowed to be, like in a townhome, can you convert your garages to ADUs?
Planning Commissioner Balma, Planning Commissioners, I don't believe that we can prohibit any type of ADUs. That's a state requirement. So yes, they would be allowed.
Not even HOA can permit it? That's just life?
I believe so.
Okay.
That's a state, the state makes it very easy for ADUs.
All right. They do have extra guest parking spaces, but, you know, hopefully they won't be converting them to ADUs.
Great, thank you, Shannon. Don't see any more questions. Applicant would like to come forward and do a presentation, or maybe just be available for some questions.
Chair Rosales and Commissioners, I thank you for having us here tonight. My name is Aaron Tallarico. I'm with MLC Holdings. I just want to first, I want to thank staff, I want to thank Shannon for the work we've been working on this. I believe since 2021, we first put an offer on the property with the school district through the RFP process, and we got chosen, luckily, and very excited about this project. I want to thank the neighbors too. We had not a lot of neighbors, but we had quite a few neighbors come out to our workshops, and then also we met with some individually as well. And they've given us some really good feedback. We've incorporated our project. We really appreciate that. We do a lot of infill projects all over Southern California, and that's something we pride ourselves on, is making sure we reach out to the neighbors way before we get here to this kind of setting. To be in Oceanside right now, we've been trying to get a project in Oceanside for years. We've came close on, I run our land acquisition group, and I think there's at least 40 or 50 projects that we've looked at, we even went into feasibility on, and just haven't been able to get to this point on it. So this is actually our first project in Oceanside since, I think, last cycle. We've built in Vista, San Marcos, Escondido, every city around here, but just not Oceanside. So we're really excited to be here. Just a little bit about us. So MLC Holdings, it just stands for Meritage Land Company. We're just a subsidiary of Meritage Homes. Myself, I have my partner, he runs the home building operation. I run the land group. We work together on everything. We're in the same office. Under my team, we have our 4 planners. So, I mean, maybe one way to put it is like from soup to nuts, we're a developer, but we're really a home builder. And so we go from the very beginning, this stage, all the way through building and selling, and then even the warranty period for the home. So we're involved in these projects for years. We started in 1985 as a home builder, Meritage Homes did. Maybe two things I want to hit on here is one, coming out of the Great Recession, our now chairman, but he was our CEO, our founder of our company, to differentiate us from the other public home builders out there, he wanted to be the most energy efficient public home builder. So a lot of things in California we already do through our Title 24 requirements, but we go even a step above that. So in California, and you won't see this from any other home builder really actually at all, but we spray foam our houses, the whole external, including the attics. It's kind of, we like to think of it as like the Yeti of home builders, you know, those coolers that keep every drink cool. So we spray foam. We're building projects right on freeways, and once you close the windows and doors, you don't hear anything. They're soundproof. Another thing, we actually, during COVID, we upgraded our filtration in our HVAC system, so MERV 13 filters, which is like a hospital-grade filter. So we try to do things to differentiate us from just another home builder that to make us energy efficient and really healthy homes to live in. And then, sorry, one more thing is, in Southern California specifically, there's something called the AVID, and it's like a points award system that for customer care. And customer care is once you build the homes, you know, you get ratings and feedback from the people who own the homes. And we've won something nationally, a national award for just SoCal of our customer care group. We've been #1 in it 2 years in a row. It just means people who are buying our homes are happy. This is just some of the stuff we do in our homes here. There's a MERV 13 filters, low paint, VOC, obviously the spray foam. A lot of the stuff on there, California already requires, but this is a slide that, you know, we do around the whole country, but those are the kind of the few items that we do special here. That typically doesn't happen. So going, again, it's an infill project. The outreach is really the most important thing to us. We first did, what's the right? The first was a city scoping meeting, the EIR scoping meeting, which Shannon had mentioned. There was about, I think there was about 18 people or 16 residents, maybe 2 people from the school district. It went out 1,500 feet. We received 3 phone calls and 2 emails. 2 calls and 1 email thought it was related to North River Farms. It's not. And there was... And then, for Shannon, there were some concerns about traffic, safety, fire, which we then, throughout the process, did our best to address with the residents. And then we held 2 community meetings after that. And from all the outreach, you know, we had an additional phone calls and email conversation. To be honest with you, lots of times, and we've found this recently with all of our projects in the last, I'd say, really 3-4 years, is most of the people that call you just want to know when they're going to get built and if they can get on an interest list. And I'm not saying that because we're building homes and that's our business to build homes and sell them, but that's what we get a lot. You know, I remember when I first got in the business, I actually worked with my dad 20 years ago, and I remember the first hearing I went to was really controversial. And I said, wow, this is what you do, and this is what I might end up doing, maybe. And he company said, hey, when grandparents can't live next to their grandkids, I think it'll shift. And I do think that kind of shift is happening with residential. We have 20 active communities right now that we're building and selling, actually actively selling. And we have another, I think, 20 or 30 projects in this stage that are working. And it's been really interesting for me, being in the business through a couple cycles, to see that shift in the need for housing. So these are some of the questions, concerns we received. Traffic, site access, road repairs. We did a traffic analysis. You know, when it comes to traffic and you've got a site that's not being utilized right now, we don't sugarcoat it. There's going to be more traffic when we build homes there. But I know there was one very early on, someone had proposed a multifamily idea. I think the school district said no, from my understanding, and that would be, you know, double the amount of traffic. There will be AM trips, PM trips. Additional, I think 100 in the morning and about 100 in the PM. The entry, we relocated it. This was part of another item I'll talk about, with which is the sewer lift station, but we relocated it because we're going to decommission the existing sewer lift station. so you have better sight distance. Obviously, we're adding the stop signs that Shannon had mentioned, Commissioner Balma's comment as well. Evacuation, we spoke with the fire department, with a traffic engineer. My understanding, the city has changed their evacuation plan for the area when a fire, because I know there's a lilac fire, which had quite a bit of issues in terms of evacuation. I believe they're doing block by block now and making sure they don't have buildup. So we worked with them on that. I know that someone from the fire department is here as well. We're not in a very high fire severity zone. I think we're maybe 5 miles from the closest one at the site. Also, the CCNRs, we have very strict, they're pretty strict CCNRs, but we like to keep our communities nice and clean, and those will be taking care of all the HOA maintained landscape areas. Oh, sorry, wait. Oh, I already, well, that's not, sorry. Parking. 34 guest spaces were required. When we have space, and we like to over park the guest parking because we know there's naturally going to be overflow parking, so we about doubled the guest parking spaces. Also, the CCNRs will have built in them either a 1 or 2 time a year inspection of garages to make sure people are using them for parking, not their home gyms or whatever, or in my case, maybe storage. And then what Shannon mentioned, then we're going to upsize our solar to make sure to be able to accommodate two EV chargers in the garage. And we wire those all the way to, all you got to do is hook in the plug. Landscaping, landscaping. There was one neighbor who requested, there's 3 eucalyptus trees. We're going to remove those. Obviously, CCNRs have the slope maintenance, and then we're going to add more shade. We're going to increase the tree canopy per Oceanside guidelines, but we're exceeding the tree canopy requirements. And then in the fencing, perimeter wall and fencing and privacy. The perimeter walls, we do have in our contract. We couldn't. We with the school district, no new fencing we could do, but we're working with the neighbors that had issues with that to see where we can repair and replace existing fencing. Light intrusion. We do have 2 pickleball courts going. This is actually, believe it or not, the first project we've done that has pickleball courts. We had another one, but it had to get taken out because we had some biology, not because of noise or anything, but pickleball can be loud. But I will tell you, there's no lights on the pickleball courts. They will be open. There's not going to be a fob access, so I imagine neighbors will be using the pickleball courts. And then all of our lighting will be consistent with the City of Oceanside's lighting standards. Slope stability and liquefaction came up. We had a full geotechnical analysis done. There's no liquefaction or slope stability issues on the site. Utility disruptions, there won't be any utility disruptions to the local neighbors as we're constructing. There's a bunch of mitigation in there to make sure that doesn't happen. The sewer lift station that we're doing, actually, we will have that fully operational before the decommissioning of the existing one that services 90 homes is decommissioned. So in terms of public benefits, redeveloping underutilized site, it's been vacant since the mid-2010s. The money that the school district gets from this sale will hopefully be put to great use within the school district to improve their existing facilities. It blends into the existing area. This is for sale housing. It's workforce housing. That's what we like to call it. Mainly because, if you look at the existing neighborhood and what let's say a 2-bedroom, 2-bath house costs to rent, our 12 to 1,300 square foot unit, that payment is within a 5% variance roughly of what a rental is going to be in that area. We specifically look for sites where we can have that. Most of our sites are bringing in buyers from the community, maybe long-term renters or someone that's been in a house for a long time that has some equity in it that sells and wants something new that they have a lot of deferred repairs on their existing house and they want to move into something that's maintained by an HOA and CCNRs and they're downsizing. We set back, I think it's 50 feet, but it was minimum, but I think it's on average almost like 80 feet from the existing neighbors. We sit down 20, 30 feet below. In terms of an infill site, it does have a great separation from neighbors. Neighborhood traffic flow. One of our mitigations was installing a 4-way stop sign at the, I skipped my sheets. at the Redondo and Roja Drive intersection. And then also we reorientated the entry of our site to get better site distance. That was part of putting the public sewer lift station and decommissioning the existing one. Ample guest parking, I already talked about that. We're double the required guest parking. And this is new for sale workforce housing. I hit on this point already. The public lift station, so the public lift station, when staff came to us with this one, we said, sure, but let's get an idea of what it's gonna cost and understanding how we're gonna do that. It did end up costing quite a bit more than we anticipated, almost to the tune of like $2 million. We still stuck with staff. We were able to reorientate the front of the site. I think it looks much better than it would have with a existing sewer lift station there. And we do see that as our main, in terms of cost value, our main public benefit for this. We understand we're asking for a general plan amendment, and that should, a good community benefit should come with that. That'll service the existing 90 homes that service on that, plus all of these. And we will be building it to city standards, and then the city will be taking it over as their sewer lift station. And there won't be any disruption. That thing will be operational before we decommission. And then the public park, there's a dog park in there, and there's the pickleball courts in there. And there's a tot lot as well. That's it, that's all I got. I just want to thank you. I'm here for any questions. I really appreciate the time. Thank you.
No, I appreciate it. Any questions for the applicant? Yeah, Vice Chair Morsey. Go ahead.
Yeah. I have two questions for you. One, you can answer any way you want. Can you address the cost and time it took to conform to CEQA?
CEQA, it costs a lot of money and time. CEQA's tough, you know, but yeah. I don't know the exact numbers. I know Johanna does probably, but it takes time. Yeah, I know it takes, I mean, EIR can take as minimum time a year, 10 months to a year, and EIRs can take, I think that industrial projects, EIR might have taken longer. I've been on EIRs that took 4, 5, 6 years and cost millions of dollars to prepare.
Yeah, I think that's part of our problem with cost of housing in California. Second question, do you stay on the HOA for a while, or do you turn that over to the homeowners?
We stay on the HOA until the final build out. Plus then we do a full punch list walkthrough as we transition the HOA board to the homeowners. And they go through every little nook and cranny, and we go through everything. So we stay on until the final build out and the last household.
Okay. I have to tell you, of all the, I think, things I've seen presented this dais, this is the best project I've ever seen. And in every facet, so great job.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Don't see any other questions queued up at the moment, but we may bring you back. It's a public hearing, so anybody do we have any slips to speak?
Yes, we have 8 slips this evening, Chair Rosales.
Well, let's get started.
Good evening. My name is Edgar Manzanera. I live in the community since 1998. When I see the project, and especially now that I see the presentation, it looks fabulous. I don't say nothing against it, but if you go there in person and see the area, this project is too big for that small area. Too many units. That community is being neglected for a long time by the city. That community has been in the hands of the Camp Pendleton years ago. Now the city is doing more work with there. But remember something, those people deserve something. That community deserves that land for their personal benefit. We encroach in the area. It's too many houses already there. Remember, North River Road, they're gonna bring how many houses up there? This area is already too many houses. It's a very limited community talking about money. One of my suggestions to you guys is to give that land to the community. Expand the Levy Lake. This project is gonna destroy Levy Lakes. By 10 years, Levy Lake is gonna be done. Pollution. One way or the other, The water is going to go there to the Libby Lake. That place is in a hole. It's not flat. I just want you guys to make the right decision and give you that communities something to enjoy. A nice park, or for the future. Keep it open. The city might need it for the future. 10 years from now, 20 years from now. The city is running out of open spaces. They don't have more. So don't side to the developers just because they bring in some money. They're going to leave the place right away. In 2 years, 3 years, they're gone. I hope so I don't went too hard to anybody. Please do the right thing. Those people deserve the help, the attention of the City of Oceanside. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Jenny Pingley Butler. I've lived on Clare Drive above this area for 49 and a half years, my entire life. That area is too small for the amount of people they want to put there. It is going to cause so much more traffic, so much more road damage that's already there that's not being fixed. 2-bedroom to 4-bedroom homes. So a 2-bedroom home can fit 4 adults with 4 cars, but yet they're going to get a 2-car garage. So where's those other 2 cars? You can put double the guest spot, but double the guest spot isn't double the amount of homes that you're putting in here. There is no room for these extra cars. My neighbors on both sides sold their homes years ago. Now the people who bought them rent them. 4-bedroom homes. 5 families on this side with 6 cars. 4 families on this side with just the same amount of cars. Nowhere to park. Nothing but traffic going through, speeding down the street, even though there's a speed bump right in front of my home. In the past years, it hasn't happened for a while, thank God, but my father's car always got hit and run because they'd speed over the speed bump and run right into his car. There's no room for that many homes. It's not that big of a spot. So please, please think about that before you approve this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Honorable Chair, Commissioners. Diane Nygaard, representing Preserve Calavera. They probably, like many people in Oceanside, we would have preferred to see this site stay 100% a park and open space, but of course that was not to be. We do need to acknowledge the many sustainability provisions that were included in this project. This developer didn't just meet the standards, in many cases they exceeded the standards. And like you said earlier, probably is one of the best projects we've seen in Oceanside. Let's hope we raise the bar so that this becomes a new standard for future development. We do want to thank both the developer and city staff for taking our concerns seriously, because as good as they were, honest to gosh, they weren't perfect. So we're striving for perfection. And those are particularly concerning because they're issues that address climate change. So when they commit to do the sizing of the rooftop solar system to accommodate future EVs, that means we don't have to go back and retrofit later, and we can accommodate those. That's really good. And when they make sure that the conditions are not just when the project is built, but for the life of the project, that's really critical. For us, the biggest one on that is on the tree canopy and tree replacement. If you look at condition number 85, the language about replacement of trees are pretty much the same in a whole lot of projects built in the city, including the planned development that I live in. And I can tell you the trees that were supposed to be at the entrance to our community, there were conditions of approval, the street trees in the front yard, those entry trees are all gone. The front yard trees are over half gone. People just don't want them, they don't maintain them over time. So commitment to do that is really critical. So I want to, again, thank staff and the developer for bringing us a project that's as good as this one. Thank you.
Thank you. Aaron? Okay, we'll go on to Eileen Costa. Nope. And then Jimmy Figueroa.
Commissioners, I've been working with the school district and the community about the Pacifica property since 2017. I know that they said 2 communities were held and almost, I think they said 13 people total with including staff. I have testimonies from 17 residents from that neighborhood and that I want to read to you, but before I do, there's a few things about that neighborhood and the reason why I was born and raised in Tri-City. I spent a lot of time in that community. A lot of my friends lived in that community, and it's one of Oceanside's most under-resourced neighborhoods that's had a lot of trauma take place. And when I was 18, my best friend was shot 5 times right in front where that entrance is going to take place. Last month, we had a murder take place on a Saturday around 1 o'clock, just 2 or 3 blocks away from that community, involving teenagers. I just want to read to you what was said from a few of these comments from people that live in the neighborhood. I have lived in this neighborhood practically my entire life, since my family moved here in 1985. This is a special place to me and always will be home. However, home can always be brighter with some good intentions. I think the best thing that space, the Pacifica site, can be used for is something to benefit our youth. I'm all for park or community resources. Anything from a resource center that hosts after-school programs to another community gym, park similar to Melba Bishop, or even a community garden that can teach agriculture and the importance of eating real good food. That space is going to be used for a new housing development, then it should be for housing development for low-income families who cannot afford regular housing. I'm pretty much in favor of anything that has long-term investment and contribution to our neighborhood, and I think a park or community resource that can definitely does that. God knows this neighborhood can use some positivity, and a project like that shows an investment interest for betterment of the Deep Valley. One more. The Deep Valley was a very challenging and rewarding place to grow up. I would love to see more done to make housing an area more affordable and accessible for families that call this area home. While the housing market continues to stifle poor and working families, we can make this a golden opportunity to provide some much needed relief in people in our community. I would love this site to be used for low income housing. There's 17 of these in here. Most of them are advocating to have public space. When I was a teenager and before they closed the site, Pacifica was the park for that neighborhood. Melba Bishop is in a different community. Libby Lake is in a different community. That's the most accessible open space to that community. 7 testimonials I will email to you. I asked this commission to hold off and allow for more community input and allow us as a community to advocate votes to get them here so you can hear from them. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other speakers, slips?
That concludes our slips.
Great. You still can come forward before we close the planning or the public hearing on this item. Give us your name for the record, please.
I'm Mitchell Cruz. I'm a resident of 531 Rojas Street. Good afternoon, Commissioner, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, I wasn't able to attend any of the open hearings for this due to other commitments, but my concern is, as some of the people from our neighborhood, is that I'm not opposed. I second his, that it would be good for the children of the neighborhood. But I do think that it's too big. Like I said, that land is my backyard. I see it. Like I said, I'm on Roja. Right now, we already have a traffic issue. People speed in and out of that road. It's supposed to be 25 miles an hour. And I have countless of videos where I see them speeding because obviously in the morning they're trying to beat the traffic right there on Vandergrift coming out of that neighborhood. And it's already backed up all the way to 7-Eleven. So trying to make that left turn onto College, like I said, the traffic is super long in the mornings. In the afternoons, around 5 a.m., again, rush hour, like I said, the 76 already congested. There's only one way to get into that neighborhood. Adding an additional, if it's 2-car garage, minimum 320 cars going through that neighborhood. It just, I couldn't even imagine, because you're looking at 174 homes. I don't even think we have 174 homes surrounding that area. And like I said, and the traffic is already pretty bad enough going through the streets. With that being said, the roads in that neighborhood are very damaged, full of potholes. They never get any treatment. I relocated my family after retiring from the Marine Corps 3 years ago to retire in that neighborhood to escape the LA traffic. We didn't want to see, and I mean, like, we moved down here because, you know, my wife was tired of that, the congestion, getting in and out of neighborhoods where it takes you, 45 minutes to go 2 miles, okay? And it's already starting to happen on Vandergrift. Like I said, and that's not even part of the neighborhood. So adding all these vehicles to it, like, I think the project's too big. I would say reduce the amount, if it does go through, reduce the amount of homes that are gonna be built in there. Because like I said, I don't think it's sustainable to, that traffic to be going through there. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. One more opportunity before we close the public hearing. Anybody want to come forward? Okay, we'll close the public hearing and bring it back to the dais here for any questions of staff or the applicant or a motion. Yes, Commissioner Malik, go ahead.
Thanks. I think that for everyone present and the comments that you make, we understand what you're saying. When we look at, and to Tom's point earlier, that this was a very well-developed project. It's phenomenal. We had the Oceanside Unified School District declare this property as excess 2 years ago. So when it was declared excess, that's when it went up for sale shortly thereafter, I believe, and that's when the development process started. It's a very good development. We understand what your concerns are. The challenge here is that it's very difficult for us to turn back a clock because of what has happened and what the city has decided to do, or the school district decided to do a few years ago. We understand what your concerns are. There's certainly some points that are brought up here that I believe are matter of public record that we really need to work on, and that's what do we do with our existing communities to ensure that the infrastructure is taken care of, it's maintained, and things are being done. But we're in a position to look at where do we meet with our housing demand, how do we fit that? There are no perfect solutions, but when you look at the effect of the effectiveness of this overall plan and this project, it's very well done. Yes, there's going to be impacts on the neighborhood. Those are very unfortunate, and it happens in each of our neighborhoods. We're going to see growth, but I just wanted to make those points because I think it's important to those of you who took the time to come here to speak to us. We hear what you're saying. There's significant challenges across the board. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Morrissey.
But there's no more comment. Did you? I was going to make a motion, but.
I'll just make a comment about the one of the residents has brought up the fact that, and it's happening everywhere, it's not just probably in this neighborhood, when someone buys a home and then they rent it out to like 5 families rather than 2 or 1 family that's supposed to live there. It's kind of like the way that a lot of people operate because they need more housing that's affordable. That's one thing this project does bring, hopefully, is going to bring some more affordable houses to this area, workforce housing as they called it. But doesn't an HOA have some power over like multi-families? Like say if someone did buy one of the units and then they rented it out to 4 families when it should really only be 1. Is there any way that Is the HOAs have any influence on that? Just kind of wanted to ask the question of the developer, or is that just out of your hands? You're not going to be doing it, but the HOA that will take over it, do they have power for that? Thank you for answering.
Thank you, Commissioner Beaumont. Yeah, I guess unfortunately, state laws make it very hard to enforce those things. The state, as you guys all know, is when it comes to housing, when it comes to opportunity for housing, they are full bore ahead on that. And part of the problem that the one speaker spoke about it's like the crux of the problem. There's not enough housing, so people are renting out rooms and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'll just jump in with a quick comment that I appreciate the project. It's an infill project. We've seen a few that have come forward to this body that haven't spent the time and detail and due diligence to bring a good quality project to the community. This one is different. This one is a quality project. Yes, there are some issues that were raised by the public, and again, we appreciate your input. But overall, it's a good project. It's meeting the need for additional housing, good quality need, a more affordable need, as opposed to larger projects that are not as affordable for the middle income or family working type of household. So I appreciate what we have in front of us. Vice Chair Morrissey?
Yeah, I just wanted to piggyback on something Jay said. The school board was, I guess it was 2019, there were two properties that they basically gave up. One was Ocean Shores, and we know what's there is San Diego Rescue Mission, and I think it's amazing what they're doing, and I think they're going to impact our community in a huge way. And this project, I think this project is so good because, as you mentioned, it's workforce housing. I see this so close to, the back gate that there's going to be lots of folks on bikes going to work. So I just think this is one of the best projects I've seen. And I think that, yeah, there's a lot of housing there, but I think it's very good and well designed. So with that, I'd like to make a motion. And that is to adopt Planning Commission Resolution number 2023 P23, recommending City Council certification of EIR SCH number 2221-10021 in approval of General Plan Amendment GP A22-1, Zone Amendment ZA 22-3, Tentative Map T22-5, and Development Plan D2213 to change the general plan and zoning designation of a 14.55 acre site to allow for the construction of 164-unit residential development.
Thank you. We have a motion, Vice Chair Morrissey, for approval.
I would second that, and also I think I'd need to commend the developer because we've seen a lot of projects in the last, I don't know, maybe year or so that have been really bad. And this one really is good. I mean, even though the neighborhood, you guys are still having your concerns, you're lucky you get this developer in your neighborhood rather than some of the other neighborhoods that surround you that have just gotten some pretty badly designed and not very respectful of the community. This one really does do that, and I really, commend you guys for what you've done, and I totally support you.
So we have a motion for approval and a second by Commissioner Balma. Let's go ahead and vote.
Show that the motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. And thank you, everybody, for your input. We're going to continue with our agenda to next item, which is appeal of city planner determination. We do not have anything listed under that tonight and nothing under discussion items. So we will go to commissioner and city planner reports. I'll start us off by indicating that I don't have anything to report this evening, and we'll look to Vice Chair Morrissey. Anything?
Yeah, I went up to where the arena's being built, level 10 construction's doing that work, and it was really impressive. They've got the seating is in at the bottom part, And I was trying to get a completion date, but I didn't get it. But it's really looking good, and I'm looking forward to when that's open.
Yeah, I did a tour last Tuesday or Wednesday, of El Corazon with John Daly. And we went right by the arena at that point, and that was, you're right, it's coming up pretty quickly.
Yeah, shout out to the project manager. His name is Dennis Daly, and he was very kind to show me around and spent the time with me. So
Yeah.
they were very accommodating.
Dennis Daly related to John Daly?
No, I asked him that.
Different dailies.
Two different dailies.
Dailies.
Yeah.
Commissioner Obama.
Nothing to report on a planning side other than to say that our Surf Museum Gala is sold out. So thanks to the community that's come and support us. And this is another way that we can keep going and bringing that attraction and that cultural experience to the residents and to our visitors. So thank you.
Commissioner Anthony?
I have no report.
Commissioner Dodds is absent. Commissioner Malik?
No report.
And Mr. Ogden, first time, the way this works is you can chit-chat about anything, update us.
Absolutely nothing to update, but thank you very much.
Okay, well, maybe next time. So then we
Thanks,
turn it
Eddie.
over to city planner, and he usually provides an update on things coming up or things of interest. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chairman Rosales. So for some upcoming items that are be coming to the Planning Commission in the near future, at the meeting of November 6th, there's a proposed car wash at 1888 Oceanside Boulevard. The Planning Commission will be asked to consider a development plan and conditional use permit for that project. Also on that agenda, there'll be 2 municipal code amendments brought forward. One has to do with an update to the inclusionary housing ordinance that resulted from the August 30th Housing Production Summit held by the City Council. And the other one will be an update to the short-term rental ordinance. At that same summit, the council gave direction to limit short-term rentals outside of the coastal zone. So those 2 items will be coming forward to the Planning Commission. And then on the meeting of November 20th, there's a new single-family home proposed in the coastal zone at 116 Eaton Street that will require a regular coastal permit review. And there will also be a development plan for improvements associated with the Loma Alta Creek Restoration Project. There's some public improvements that are being proposed as part of that project that include a walking trail and an observatory deck. Moving on to the City Council, at the meeting of November 1st, staff will be taking forward recommendations on storefront dispensaries for cannabis. In April, the City Council provided staff direction to bring forward recommendations on allowing the establishment of 2 storefront dispensaries in the city, and those recommendations will be considered by the City Council. On December 6th, the City Council will consider the appeal of the Avocado Road project that this commission considered, I believe, back in September. And then on December 20th, the City Council will consider this project that you just considered tonight, tentatively scheduled for that date. And finally, last Thursday, we received an appeal of the Loma Alta Estates project that this commission considered at their meeting on October 9th. We're still yet to determine the date for that hearing, but we think it'll be the first meeting, City Council meeting in January of 2024. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Sergio, can I ask you the consideration for the storefront cannabis? Where would those likely be zoned only? Like what kind of zoning would be?
Certainly. So staff identified, we know after doing research and seeing what other municipalities do and how they're handled, they wouldn't be allowed in the coastal zone as an example. That's not a recommendation. It's currently a prohibition in the coastal zone for those types of uses. They would be allowed in industrial zones, so limited industrial and general industrial. One of our existing operators is located in an industrial zone. And then finally, staff is proposing 2 commercial zoning districts, the special commercial, highway-oriented special commercial zoning district, and the general commercial zoning district. With some caveats, we wouldn't recommend allowing a waiver of the locational requirements as an example to a school. Other than that, they'll likely require a waiver to other sensitive uses.
Yeah. Okay.
Land uses.
Great. Thank you.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Why is there no more clocks in this dais? Like, I mean, there used to be a clock, and I just, is there like some kind of PC thing that you can't have clocks because it's like against some kind of like rule or something? I mean, I don't know. What?
Commissioner Balma, the
battery.
battery died this evening, and Ramon has removed it to put the
so it's
batteries
coming
in
back.
it.
I just keep thinking, I mean, it's kind of nice to have a clock. I mean, we have to look at our watches or our cell phones. It's kind of like, it's, okay, good. So that's just the battery then. Okay, thank you. I missed it.
It was up.
I know, was there, I took it down.
Like at 6 o'clock, it was up.
All right, we're adjourned until November 6th, it looks like. Thank you.